I've grabbed my phone and now I'm trying to look at a picture of myself and my love of life as I cry and curse her at the same time. Let me first begin by saying that before we move on to the story, make sure you click the bell icon and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss out any updates. It all started when I was working as a bouncer in a bar. My name is Brooke and I am 32 years old. The love of my life, named Emily, is 28 years old and she worked there as a stripper. I don't like the fact that she works there, but I was helpless at the time. The reason for this is that I did not even have a good job to support her. I was aware of the problems she was facing. This cheap life was also getting to her, and she was fed up with it. There is no one who would like to reveal their skin every night to the stranger. There was no doubt in my mind that I loved her deeply. As well as being generous to me, I believed that she was kind to me as well. Over the course of 11 months, we were dating each other. In order to become financially stable, I needed to search for and obtain a job opportunity so that I would be able to get it. Lack of education was a big problem for me. A number of months have passed since I started looking for a job. In the end, I managed to get a job in a factory of butter. The friend of mine worked there and he was able to get me that job through him. It astonishes me how great he is. It doesn't matter how it was. There was only a small amount of money to start a new life, but it was enough. I forced Emily to leave the job on the grounds that I wanted her to do so. As a result, she begins to look for a new job that is decent and pays her well. While I told her not to do any jobs, she said she wanted to stand with me in all of my problems. Anyhow, she got a job as a bartender after some experience working as a bartender. We had reached a point in our relationship where we were ready to get married. A year after living together for a year, we decided to get married. As for our marriage, it was awesome. We were at least able to get away from all the ugly world. It was a very happy time for us for a few months. It was still our financial crisis that was causing the problem. The reason I was worried about her was also because when she got sick, her boss did not give her any leave, and she did not want to leave that job. Actually, she was on her right because we both earned and spent money for our bread and butter as well as rent for the apartment we were living in. Unfortunately, we were stuck in the whole situation. Unfortunately, within a few months, I became an asthmatic patient. I do not know how this happened, but it certainly did. My boss became aware of this when he found out about it, so because of that, in the end, he fired me, leaving me jobless and also a patient at the same time. It is possible that she was afraid that she might become afraid of all these circumstances. However, she was persistent and very loyal to me in spite of all of this. In order to make ends meet, she started working 2 jobs a day. Additionally, I was also looking for a job and getting medical treatment at the same time. Moreover, I had to pay a great deal of money for my treatment. It was getting to the point where I was getting hopeless. In addition to that, she spent her entire salary on the rental of an apartment and my treatment. For the past 2 months, it has been happening regularly. Our financial situation was getting worse and worse as the time went by. It is unfortunate that the doctor has recommended that I take bed rest because asthmatic attacks have started to increase day by day. It was at that one point that I prayed to God and cursed my life because of all these problems that I was experiencing. Our situation got worse to the point that sometimes we did not even have a meal to eat. The whole time, Emily always gave me confidence and encouragement to be patient and that everything would work out in the end. According to her, she is looking for another job where she will be paid well and be able to make both ends meet. It was after 2 weeks that she returned home after her job. She also brought groceries from the supermarket with her. I was stunned when I saw, as a result of getting a lot of groceries, she was very happy. It had been a very long time since I last saw her buying too much stuff. After she came and put everything in front of me, I asked her where she got the money from. According to her, she got a job at a mart, which was a day job during the day, and she would work at a night bar. When I asked her if she was serious, she replied, "Yes, I do. But I told my love that I do not want you to work too hard. You're not supposed to do this. It is my responsibility to do this." She said she just wants you to know that it is all right, sweetheart. We are partners and it is our duty to help each other. When I said okay, I enjoyed the feeling of embarrassing and thought I loved her a lot, and I wanted to make her my queen, but destiny played a very dirty game with me, and I couldn't make her my queen. It is beyond my control, and I am helpless in the face of it. Nevertheless, she was able to do the job for a period of 3 months. Once again, my health had improved greatly, and I was able to return to work with a new job at a car wash, as I had found a better job there. It was then that I told her to quit one of her jobs, due to the fact that I was working at the time. However, she said it was all right. It seems that she's okay with all of this. In accordance with her request, I said okay to her. It has been a long time since we were sexually active. After a very long time, one night we had romance after a very long period of time. We stayed in bed after our romance in order to talk while laying in bed with the blanket covering our bodies. The leg of the girl was out of the blanket, and I noticed what looked like a bite mark on the leg when I checked it properly, as it felt like a mark from a bite. Then I saw that she had a lot of bite marks all over her body. They looked like little love bites. Then I asked her what all those marks had to do with her. As soon as I asked her if she could answer me, she got up and went to the bathroom without answering me. In a moment of panic, I asked her violently what the fuck all those things were. As she was in the washroom, I knocked very hard on the door of the bathroom in order to get her attention. There was no sign of her opening the door. It was not long before she emerged from the washroom. It was as if I grabbed her by the arm and started asking her how many times she had cheated on me. Could you tell me what you did with me? Is this what love is all about? Is it possible that you met someone else with whom you were in love? In the midst of her tears, she broke down and started weeping uncontrollably. Please answer me if you can. This is what I asked her. Later, she revealed to me that she was dating a wealthy man who was in love with her. There was a sinking feeling in my heart. In spite of the fact that I felt like I was going to die, I still wanted to know from her why she had done this to me. Her explanation was just that she was under so much pressure, and that was the reason for her behavior. She was unable to make any other choices because of all the crises, and all the expenses were way beyond her means. Eventually one day a man came and she got in relation with him, and she started getting money from him for the kitchen. I've heard her say that many days she went to work with empty stomach because she did not even have money to eat. It was the first and last time she committed this crime, and she begged me to forgive her. I found myself guilty as a result of all this explanation, for I was aware of that these were my responsibilities, and it was me who forced her to perform the tasks. It would be impossible for her to do this if I gave her everything I had, so she could never be able to do it. Even though I was heartbroken, I still believed that her reason was valid. Despite the fact that she did not want to do anything wrong, she had no choice but to accept what was happening. In the end, I left and went to a nearby pub where I had a few shots before I came to the conclusion that I would forgive her because I had no choice to do so. As soon as I got back home, I hugged her tightly and told her to forget everything and do not do anything like this in the future. Just apologize to her since I was the cause of her making this mistake in the first place. As soon as that day passed, my love for her grew stronger than ever, but I began to feel that she was behaving strangely, as if she always remained silent or sometimes did not reply to me. Every time I asked her a question, she does not respond to me. Sometimes I try to convince her that nothing should be worrying about, that everything should be forgotten about. It was my intention to tell her to leave the job as soon as possible, because I would work extremely hard. Within a few weeks of looking for a job, I was offered a second job. I was happy that I was able to get a job at least. As soon as I told Emily that she needed to leave the job, she told me that she wanted to do the store job during the day. Due to the fact that it was a daytime, I did not argue with her about it. As a result of her happiness, I was happy as well, due to the fact that she would be very busy with her job. However, that God has helped us. We were a bit more stable and we were in a better place. There was a woman that Emily made a friend with. It was the first time I saw her going along with her. In addition, once Emily and she came home together, as she was a woman of great wealth, when I asked Emily about her, she replies that she was an old friend of hers that she had not seen for quite some time. Why do I not know her? This is the question I asked her. In addition, I've known you for a long time as well. In the end, she did not respond to my question and changed the subject. The trust I have in her at this point is unshaken. I've no doubts about her, but I don't know why she did not answer me properly. But I was glad that at least she had a friend now and that she was staying happy now that she had a friend. As of now, I am working at 2 different jobs at the same time. As a matter of fact, there was no complaint on my part. In fact, I was enjoying it because I felt like destiny was here to help me a lot, and I was very grateful to God for this. It was not my intention to be screwed up soon, as I was unaware that it was going to happen. It wasn't long before Emily started hanging out with that lady. However, after a while, the frequency of hangouts increased. I have not said anything until now because I did not want to offend anyone, because I thought it was her time to enjoy life and it was her right to do so. I did not want to become a hustle in her life again. I just wanted to see that she was happy in her life. It was she who said she wanted to stay at her place to enjoy a girls' night out, and she asked if she could stay. Although I agreed to her request, I could told her not to drink too much alcohol. My negligence at that time was to make sure I was keeping an eye on her all the time. But I was just blinded by the love that she had for me. I let her hang out in the night for the first time in her life after marriage. There was no way I could have predicted that she would commit such a sin and take advantage of my forgiveness in such a way. After a few days, I met one of my friends who worked as a bouncer in a bar in one of the cities where I lived. It was about Emily that he asked me. A very strange question was asked by him. "Do you still have her with you?" he asked. I answered, "Yes." And he replied, "Really?" As for what had happened, I said yes to what happened. In his bar, he told me that he saw her with a man and a lady a few days ago. When I asked what happened, he replied that they were looking too closely at each other. Then I asked him what he meant by that. According to him, Emily was sitting too close to that man, and he had his hand on her leg. In my opinion, it was extremely pathetic. Suddenly, I went to my house and asked her where he was 3 days ago. According to her, she was with a friend of hers. As a matter of fact, I asked her if you were sure that you were with her. "There were 2 of them there," she said, "and her husband was also there." Then I asked her if she could please tell me why his hand was on your leg. There was a stunned look on her face. "No," she said to me. "Who told you that? This is not your problem, so please tell me what I need to know." In her words, she said that she was sitting there with both of them, but that was not what you were saying. There was a husband and wife who were very happy together and that they had a wonderful life together. Could you please tell me why he did this in front of his wife? I think that was also an important point to make. As soon as I met that friend, I told him that was her best friend's husband, and I told him how he was thinking the wrong things about them. His reply was that he had no issues with me, but he was talking as a friend. But maybe he was mistaken, but there was more to the friendship, and he advised me to keep an eye on her. There was no doubt in my mind about her, even after she told me everything she knew. In spite of that, I still kept thinking about my friend's point. In order to find out more about her, I started spying on her. To begin with it, I thought the best place to start would be to check her cell phone as a first place. Since I had her password, I had checked it when she fell asleep. It took me a while to search through everything, but I did not find anything. Anyhow, at last I checked out what her friend was talking about on the chat room. As a result, I was able to find something that was very bizarre. I've never seen anything like this before. Emily is being paid by a woman to have romance with her husband, and she chooses to watch and enjoy the act. The trust I had in was once again broken. On that very moment, my heart sank and my soul had already died. As a result, I did not have anything to do. In spite of this, I was convinced that one thing was clear to me. I had forgiven her once, but now she was again stabbing at my back. So I was going to destroy her and divorce her. It took a few days for her to go back to her friend's house again in the night. I had planned to punish her as well as expose her this time around. My friend gave me a gun that I was able to use. One night, she told me that she was going out with a friend of hers. I had to fuck her life at that precise moment when I had to do it. Then she came and picked her up, and I approached them after. They finally arrived at a very big mansion after traveling for 1.5 hours. The place where they got in, there was a feeling that I probably would not be able to get in, but this was my only chance to do so. It took me a while to look around the entire area, but when I did, I discovered a back door to the wall. It was an 8-foot wall. It was necessary for me to climb up the wall and jump inside. In terms of height, I was 6 feet and 1 inch tall. Due to the fact that I was an asthmatic patient, it was a bit difficult for me to try 3 times. On my 4th attempt, I was able to climb the wall and enter. Taking a few steps from the backyard, I was able to enter the house. Then I went through each room and began to check each one. Eventually, I was able to find a room where everything was happening at the same time. At this point in the time that I broke into the room and found a man and Emily and his wife watching and enjoying what they were watching. Due to the fact that I had a gun, they all became frightened. As soon as I was concerned, I had nothing to do with that husband and wife. I was concerned with Emily. In the middle of the night, it was about 2 a.m. During that time, I was asked to put down the gun, and they apologized for what had happened. Despite this, I said that I would not be able to do this. As I sat there, I asked the reason for their actions and the purpose for which they did them. There was no answer to my question. Then I got them into the bathroom and locked it up so they couldn't get out. Then on the tip of the gun, I told Emily that she had to come with me without any clothes on. There was a lot of begging and crying from her. I just wanted to know with which explanation you are apologizing to me for your mistake. When I got her to the car, I tied her hands and held the rope in order to get her to walk to the car while I held the rope tight to her arms. There's no doubt that the punishment she received was not sufficient to satisfy me. In order to satisfy my own heart, I made her walk 40 miles. It was all her punishment. Despite her begging, I did not pay attention of what she was saying. It was about 6 a.m. in the morning when I was able to get her to home. In my response to her, I told her she was now free to go wherever she wants, and that I would give her divorce papers in the near future. At 6 a.m. in the morning, she was standing naked on the side of the road. I believe this would be the worst moment of her life if people were passing her and watching her go by. It was time for me to go to my apartment. I threw all her stuff out of the window as soon as I got in. As soon as I did that, I locked myself in the room. 3 days have passed and I am in a lot of pain watching the picture of mine with her, and I'm crying a lot. But I'm sure that she will never forget this punishment.